time it is!
Thank you once again for checking out the C-Squared Hour. I'm your host, Chris, coming to you from, once again, my undisclosed bunker, or whatever I'm calling my location now. So before I get started, I did want to mention that recently this show has hit a pretty significant milestone. So I want to thank all my listeners for that. I will not say the milestone, however, because it's kind of embarrassing. But we hit a milestone. Thank you all, and hopefully more to come. If I could get off my ass and do this more twice a month. Of course, you all are going to be asking where the other Chris is. He's decided to look out for the whole world in the last few months. I guess it's only been a few weeks. I don't know. You know, the time switches back. You know, they changed the time. And I'm so done about daylight savings time. Daylight savings time and people whining about daylight savings time. I'm done with it. We all know it's just the way the government can regulate our sleep schedule because it's another way to control somebody. Right? When you're interrogating somebody, what do? You mess with their sleep. That's the first thing you do. So, what's a way we can affect how our citizens act? I know. Let's fuck with the clock every now and again. Let's change when they see the sun, when the daylight comes out. Let's do that. Not the way it naturally happens. No. Let's just a little tweak. Just a little tweak's going to make it easier for us to... A little easier for us to control you, and then you pay your 8-cent sales tax and say, hey, I know where this is going. The answer is you don't. Anyway, Chris for the last couple weeks has actually been doing something pretty interesting. He has read a lot on old Native American, for different tribes. Obviously, you can't just say Native American. I get it, all right? I'm kind of woke. He's been reading up on different rituals. And he came across, a few cultures have different rain dances and things like that. A few of the tribes and what have you. Well, he took kind of a look at all of the traditions and all of those things. He took a whole bunch of those and he molded them all together. And what he's done, he started on a vow of silence. He's decided, since there's a lot of noise out there, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot going on, he's hoping that one less voice, one less vibration in the sound barrier, whatever, is going to do enough to possibly help reverse climate change. So he's taking a vow of silence until somebody he deems, worthy's the wrong word, qualified to speak on it, and saying, hey, you know what? Global warming is actually starting to turn around. Then he's gonna speak up. He has a list of about 26 different experts that he said he'll listen to their opinion. Well, he wrote to me. He's been texting a lot. Yeah, so that's what he's up to. Vow of silence, hoping to reverse global warming. Well, good on him. He's showing that he's not someone who just walks around saying all his wacky opinions. No, he's someone who's going to say, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. And obviously, I have to call out Randy again. There's actually a pretty good fight last weekend. I think it was last weekend. Yeah. Have to call him out. Let's lace him up, buddy. I sound like a douchebag hack. I know. but I've been trying to get you to do it. Step in the ring with me, or say you're a pussy, and we'll end it there. Again, try not to sound like a unintelligent hack, so I'm going to stop it right there. I realize I need to do this more often, and not for the fact that, you'll get more people listening, you'll get more of this, you'll get more of that. And none of that. I had a note on my prep sheet, if you'll call it that. And the note just says, well, Jonah Hill is a cunt. I bet I had a really awesome reason for writing that and a really funny joke. But since the last time I looked into it, since the last time I did the show, I totally forgot what it was. So apparently I thought at one point in the last couple weeks that Jonah Hill was a cunt, but I don't remember why. Sorry. But speaking of cunts, am I the only sports fan that is tired of that douchebag Mattress Mac? I know the World Series has been over for a couple weeks now. I know we've been... I just still can't shake the hatred I have for the fucking guy. If you don't know, he's a guy from Houston who owns a couple furniture stores. Yes, he owns a couple furniture stores. And he makes a big deal about how much money he's going to gamble on certain shit and how he's going to give it to charity if he wins or if he doesn't or what have you. And for the World Series, the games in Houston, he was fucking brought in a fucking leash with fucking 50 nuns on it to sit and watch the game. I'm done. I'm done with douchebag fans. If you are a fan of a team and you have a nickname, you're a dick. That's just it. I don't know anybody who has... Well, first of all, I wouldn't associate myself with anybody who has any sort of nickname or something like that. But if you have something like that at a professional state, you are a douche. All right. Now, Mattress Mac, in fairness to him, he's not like the Marlins, man, where Mattress Mac, that was his nickname before he started being a douche, but he fucked up the Kentucky Derby odds. So, I'm done with him, and here's what I have to ask, and I know I probably have at least 3 people who listen to this who have some sort of connection to the real Illuminati, alright? I have some sort of connection, I get it. Why do you let a guy who's in your money laundering business get so loud about it? He's putting way too much of a spotlight on the furniture business, and we all know, we have figured out, the collective we, which I basically mean I, have figured out that that's where the real money laundering's happening. Alright? We know it. There's too many furniture stores, not enough people in them, not enough people buying furniture that much, and this guy's throwing down $1.5 million bets on the Kentucky Derby off of what, 3 mattress stores? I just gotta say, bud, watch out, because they are not gonna like you flashing around that much money. They're gonna say, hey, the IRS is gonna get into it, but the people who own the IRS, all of a sudden their name's gonna get thrown out there, so who the fuck knows? All I know is Mattress Mac is in trouble. Stay off TV for my sake, and mostly for your sake, because I don't want the people who are laundering their money through these furniture stores to start coming after you. Alright? I'm trying, man. I am trying. The Kentucky Derby this last year, he actually bet so much that it changed who the favorite horse was. Like, one of the horses would have been the favorite, or tied for the favorite, except for his bet. As a gambler, he bugs me for that reason, too. Man, you're fucking with my money. Okay, well, I'm done with that douchebag. So I was driving the other day, and I have this car that I call the Hoopty, and I have my regular car. The Hoopty, I take around, and it's fine. It runs great. It's like the gun on Taxi Driver, where you can hammer nails with it all day, and you take it home, and it'll shoot straight. That's what this car is. So I'm driving that, but I don't take it on the freeway just because, whatever. Because I don't want to. That's all. Anyway, I'm driving this car around, and I go by, and I see there's a flag at half-staff. I'm like, oh shit, what happened? I knew, the whole Colin Powell thing, but I thought that was over. So I stop in, and I go into the front desk, and I'm like, hey, who can I talk to about I was just trying to get, anyway, I don't know what this fucking company was. It was just a big fucking warehouse with a giant flag out front. But, I mean, I had to check in. I had to do all this stuff. So finally, I talked to somebody. I get there. And I had to talk to the front desk lady who had to talk to security, who had to talk to the vice president of this place. So I could finally talk to the grounds crew to ask about the flag. This company, and I asked, why do you have the flag at half-staff? And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, here it comes. It's going to be for the Trump vote stealing, if that's still a thing, or for the Pizzagate or whatever. It's going to be something stupid like that. Especially if you saw kind of the area this company was in. And it was definitely like a warehousing company, some sort of company with a warehouse. So you think blue collar tend to be right-wing voters. So I'm expecting something like that. So, hey, why is your flag at half-staff? They won't get an answer. So I finally talked to the grounds guy. I'm like, hey, so what's up? Was there some sort of tragedy I didn't hear about? Was there a politician who died? Was there? And he just looks at me straight in the face and says, nope, Dave. Huh? Yeah, Dave, the guy who usually raises the flag, he actually died halfway getting it up there. And no one else wanted the job, so we're going to have to draw straws later. But no one else will raise it or lower it because that was Dave's job. But he died halfway while he's getting it up there, so we have to figure that out. R.I.P. Dave. I realized a couple days ago, I haven't watched SportsCenter in a long time. And not for any reason. It just, I get the news, I see the clips, I follow SportsCenter on social media. I haven't watched it, but I do have it on in the background when I'm doing stuff. I saw a headline, or, on the bottom where they say, what the next story they're going to talk about is, above the score tickers. So we get up there, and then they used the term problematic multiple times. And I'm not one of these guys that can say, politics shouldn't enter into sports. So it's always going to cross over. I mean, the Olympic Games, the old, running of the bulls, that all had, when it first started, political meaning and bullfighting, and all that shit had. So I'm not going to say, it shouldn't enter. It's going to, all right? But for a sports news show to use the term problematic and not using it as a quote bugs the shit out of me. And I'm going to have to apologize. A, because I don't want to get sued. B, it may not have been SportsCenter. It may have been one of the other ones, one of the other highlight shows or whatever. I am not brand loyal when it comes to which sports news show I have on in the background. So, but the fact that it uses the term problematic, there was a thing, I thought at least, where although politics are going to enter into sports, you go back to the 60s, the 70s, even the 80s, it's going to be there. We know that. All right? But shouldn't something that's trying to specifically be just about sports try to distance themselves from that sort of stuff? And yes, I know the term problematic isn't just political, okay? But it's being used exclusively when it comes to political shit right now. So leave it out. Or maybe they're just fucking trolling. Maybe they're just saying, "Hey, look, everyone says, we're part of the political stuff." If you're doing that, by all means, fucking keep going. I love it. I know I'm not the only one who's noticed this. So before you go this, I've heard and seen other people talk about it. But if that's what you're doing, by all means, keep doing it. I love a good joke, and fuck, I'd love to be in on it. I guess if it's not a joke, I'm very disappointed in the sports networks. If it is a joke, I'm disappointed because I wasn't let in on it. Because that is a fantastic joke. Like, hey, let's just use the term problematic and see what the fuck happens. Anyway, I only thought about that because I'm looking at my prep sheet here, and I see I did want to talk about the Phoenix Suns president was accused of misogyny, and they didn't go into specifics yet, but a lot of misogynistic claims against him, and it's men's sports, okay? Now, if you're managing a Ruby Tuesdays or something along those lines, yes, you know what? You can't be a misogynist at that point. But you know what? If you worked your way up to fucking president in a $1 billion, some could say $1 trillion leagues, one of their franchises, you know what? There are a few positions you are allowed to be a misogynist, and you're allowed to get away with something. And you know what? Being the president of an NBA franchise, you should get a little leeway. I don't mind if the president of the Detroit Red Wings says, you know what? I only want pretty secretaries. Yeah, it sucks if you're a middle manager. If you're there, fuck it. And I'm not even going... If you have the same job for a company worth the same amount as, say, the Phoenix Suns, but you're just, you make the elastic for socks or whatever the fuck you do, and your company's worth the same amount, you don't get to be a misogynist either. But if you work your way up on a male sports team to president, that's one spot it should be allowed. One of the few spots it should be allowed. And I'm willing to talk to all these feminists, all these woman warriors, all the... I'm willing to hammer out a guideline list, like your team has to have made the playoffs within the last 5 years. It has to be worth this amount of money. Your league has to have this kind of TV deal. I'm willing to work all that out, but I'm saying if you work for a male sports, like high level professional team, there are a lot of, minor leagues and stuff like that. If you're working for like a semi-pro league like the Charlestown Chiefs, no, you don't get it. All right, you don't get to be. No, if you're working at one of the big four and you're the president of one of those teams, I would say even down to head CPA, or there's a level where, you know what, you've earned it. You've earned it, bud. And here's the main reason I say it. And it's not because I'm a sexist, which I am. And it's not because I'm a asshole, which I am arguably. It's because there still needs to be that carrot. All right? You still have to have that carrot for dickheads to go after. All right? Now, if you take everything away, like, well, I think this way. I want to act this way. You know what? At least I still have major sports president to fall back on if I want to be this. You take that away, that asshole misogynist, you're just fucking throwing them out on the streets to hate people more, to whatever. I would rather... Dickheads need a reason to go for it. And here's what it really comes down to. You look at... I'm not saying this the best, but what I'm saying is you need that carrot. You need to say, you know what? Hey, I'm a sexist dickhead, but you know what? If I work hard enough, I can get to a spot where I can get away with that. You're not going to get to that spot. There's 100 of those jobs in this country. 100 max. Actually, you know what? Somewhere between, I would say, probably between 100 and 300 of those jobs max in this country. Yeah, because you got to think the 4 major leagues. You got to think 32 teams in each of those leagues. Yeah, there's very few jobs available for that. But you got to give even the dickheads something to look forward to, something to build it towards. Because if I see a job where I look and I say, you know what? I can't do this at this job right now. But if I work hard enough, I can get to that level. I'm not going to do said action at my lower level job. I'm going to wait till I get to that. I think being the president of a major professional sports team can be one of those carrots for these people. All right? And if one of those people just happens to get in that position, because they're not all going to get in that position, we know that. But if one of them just happens to get in that position, well, guess what? You're going to have to wear a skirt. If you want to be secretary there, you're going to have to wear a skirt. I'm not advocating for hiring practices. In fact, if you want to be a misogynist in this job, you probably shouldn't be in charge of the hiring. You could have input, obviously, if they're going to be your assistant. I mean, obviously, but I don't like that everything is getting taken from asshole men. All right? A lot of shit should. I get it. Men are douchebags. They've been douchebags for a long fucking time, all right? But let's slow down. It's just like the Me Too thing. It took one person to say, hey, wait, whoa, this isn't what we're talking about, to finally get, to take a step back and look. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, you know what? An NBA president might be a misogynist, but you know what? Maybe misogyny is good for that position. I mean, who knows? How long has he been president? They went to the finals last year. I realized that the more I do this episode and the more news shit comes up and the more, this is gonna have to be the hill I die on. I don't want it to be. I'm not as far to the penis side as I am against the vagina side, as it may vagina side. Ladies, go ahead and make that shirt. You're all against vagina side. But I know, but if I keep going this hard at these stories, this is the hill I'm going to have to die on, right? I hope to God that when this reverses course, which it does every 10, 15 years, when we start getting a pushback towards the female movement or the feminist movement or whatever you want to call it, and when there starts to be a slight pushback and I'm starting to see like news stories, saying like, this broad's a cunt for being this, or this broad, I hope that I see it and I say, look, you know what? Fuck those guys. This broad should be. I really am hoping that I'm just a contrarian and you're only hearing my anti whatever I see argument. I'm hoping I'm just a contrarian. That's it. Unfortunately, we're probably going to have to wait anywhere from 7 to 15 years to find out. But it takes that long for something to reverse itself or something like that? I don't know. In fact, we're kind of already seeing it. It may not be done in the right way, but I just thought of something here. What if this whole anti-minimum wage thing, this whole, not living wage and making childcare expensive and travel expensive. So like, I'm just going to quit my job and stay home because it costs too much. What if that is the higher level way of basically them saying, we're going to turn this into a one salary household again. We're going to make sure that most likely the women, that's just how it works. We're going to make sure that the women stay home again, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it in the good way. No, we're just going to make sure we don't pay people enough and we make other shit so expensive that, well, they can't afford to work. And so then you get them back at home, and this could very well, I'm starting to think, and it's also because I'm my third beer deep on this show, I'm starting to think that that's the reason why you're not hearing because it's obvious the minimum wage is too low. It's obvious. But that's not why you're hearing the argument as loud as you should be, especially as other liberal arguments that are out there, because you know what, this seems to have agreement on both sides. No, because the people higher up are saying, you know what, we're going to get these women back home. I know how we'll do it. Before, you could afford to have a one family, a one parent working, one parent at home. Now we're going to make it so you can't afford to have two people working. I think I just figured it out. But to sum up my whole thing, I think the Phoenix Suns president, should be allowed to be a misogynist. I'm not sure how much better the new plastic 6-pack holders are. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to some lighter subjects, shall we? I came across a couple articles talking about, and yes, I'm going to talk about wrestling. Fuck yourselves, alright? I came across a couple news stories that talk about how Becky Lynch, the man, and Charlotte Flair, wait, is she the Opportunity? I don't know, I forget her nickname, but Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch apparently have had backstage fights for a couple weeks at least. Now, these come across as real news stories. These wrestling rumors come across as real news stories. Here's my question, and I hope someone can answer it. Oh, fuck, I forgot. I'm 2 weeks away from independent wrestling with the hetero love of my life. So anyway, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. Is it true that they're having these fights? Is it all a setup, like these wrestling? Because these wrestling news outlets seem to have some pretty good insight, and they are inside. So, are they just reporting? And if it is true, how does the company, another billion-dollar company, let shit like that get out? I don't like talking about this, but I think this is where the whole fake news thing really started for me. Is I would see wrestling stories like that, Lynch and Flair backstage yelling at each other. These two don't like each other. These two. And I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense for what's going on in the ring, but is that a real story? Or is this being planted? If that's a real story, how does that get out? And then all of a sudden I start watching the real news and, I get to do the same thing. So I thought there was a lot more meat on that bone. I don't trust the news. That's what I'm getting down to. And I mentioned this on my last episode, but listen. I read a Vice News article again. Vice News. Biggest waste of fucking time. Their once-a-week TV show on Showtime's great. Their website and their daily news shows and all that dog shit. Boring waste of time. Here is what they've decided is news. Here's what they've decided is a big story. Horny people tend to lie more than non-horny people. Really? You needed a fucking study and a news article for that? See, I'm getting all wound up, and now they're showing the Flyers piss away to goal lead. Why is that a news story? People lie about their age on dating apps or in front of people. Shit, I have never had a real job in a strip club. I have never told them my real name, even. My security guard who lets you in. But I don't know how many times I've been a real estate developer or a fucking minor league sports agent or just stupid shit that there's no way to figure out but sound important. Yes, of course they fucking lie. And here's what bugs me. Don't remember what college or what state or whatever this study was done in, however you do that study. I think I just told you how to do that study. Send a guy in and see if he tells the stripper their real job. The thing that really annoyed me, it was clearly a university study by a state-funded school. Yes, that's exactly what it means. That means millions, probably millions, because that's how they bill shit when it comes to the government. Which, if you're going to get fucking... I don't blame them. If you're going to get a fucking blank check, you may as well write as many zeros as it can fit, right? But somehow, in a 7 degrees of Cure Cedric sort of way, you paid for a study that you can tell somebody just by sitting in a bar. I figured out this study without the doctors, without the professors, without the $1,000 per diem to the horny people and the non-horny people. I figured out, yeah, horny people lie. And here's why. Men have been programmed to think that women like money and stature. That's what we're told, true or not, what have you. Women have been programmed to believe that men want no complications and no commitments. So a horny woman is going to say, yeah, I just want to have fun tonight, even if that's not what she wants. And a horny... This is sounding really hacky, but we'll skip all that, and men are from Mars. We'll skip all that part. A government-funded college did this investigation. If that doesn't bug the shit out of you, it should. I don't care if a Cornell or a Caltech or a privately funded private college does a stupid study that wastes everyone's time. A government-funded college did this study. But thank God we had Vice News there to fucking report on it. Dumbest fucking study I've ever fucking seen. Just so fucking pointless. Yes, we know. Yes, it is. One-legged weightlifter. That's not funny. Anywho, this is why I don't watch SportsCenter in the background. Alright, we're going to wrap up here pretty quick. We're going to go to my entertainment section of this. So, the movie first came out, and I wasn't quite old enough to get it. Like, I got the whole story, but I didn't, didn't get the whole nuance of it, or what have you. So, I just rewatched the movie. And it was a pretty good movie, called The Cider House Rules. My takeaway from it, the Cider House did not rule. The Cider House kind of fucking sucked, to be honest with you. Minus seeing What's-Her-Face's ass in it, there was nothing cool in the Cider House. Just fucking beds. And I mean, for Christ's sake, I mean, Dad even knocked up his daughter in the Cider House. The Cider House did not fucking rule. The Cider House rules? No, it doesn't. That's what it should be. The Cider House rules, ? And you get to decide. Yeah, if that's your sort of thing. If you don't mind sleeping in a bed with 7 other people while you don't really get paid. Yeah, the Cider House rules. But no, from what I saw, the Cider House kind of fucking sucked. Anywho, that was me trying to bring levity into something. That was me trying to... I don't know what that was me trying to do. It made sense in my head. But boy, am I excited, because the newest saga of Tiger King just came out. Woohoo! Ain't that some sort of fun? It took until the second episode where I got fucking annoyed. Because what's a good Netflix documentary without a fucking armchair detective? Oh boy. Yep, that's what we need. Someone with half the facts deciding everything, and people... First of all, what's with fucking Tiger King and people walking? Fucking Joe always had a walking crutch. Fucking the fake rich guy always had a limp. Now the fucking armchair detective is walking around with a fucking cane. What is with that documentary, people not being able to walk? But that's what we need, an armchair detective. That's what the first part didn't have. It had all sorts of fucking douchebags. It had the fake rich ones. It had the animal rights ones. It had the idiot ones. It had all of that, but it didn't have an armchair detective. And boy, howdy, did they find one. Netflix, you need to stop with the armchair detectives. They're all douches. They all don't know what they're fucking doing. They never do anything good for any sort of situation. If you could find me one story where they actually helped something, by all means tell me. But even the story where they're trying to, what's the one, Don't Fuck Cats or whatever, with the pan face gal and the... Even that story where they're trying to show like how great they are, they fucking force some fucking poor, fucking mentally ill schmuck to kill himself. I don't care how many cats you save. If you talk one person into killing themselves, you're probably not a good group of people. And that's the company you keep. So, I don't know what Netflix's fascination with them is, but armchair detectives are worthless, and you're idiots, and you're lazy. Alright? I used to give like fake security guard shit. Like, oh yeah, they just couldn't, pass the physical stuff or anything to become a cop. Well, armchair detectives, and they finally worded it that way. Like, basically, yeah, you know what? We're going to make you sound lazy. Armchair detectives they not only weren't able to become cops for some reason, they didn't have the stones to work their way up to detectives. So you know what they do? They sit on their fat ass and pretend like they're fucking doing something based on 3 fucking minutes of a clip. Yeah, so this guy watched the one episode of Tiger King that talked about Carol and her husband, and he's like, you know what? Let me settle up in my armchair and I'll detective this and figure it out. God, by the second episode, you've already fucking pissed me off. Netflix, stop with them. They're not interesting. They're douches. This one even gave himself a fucking nickname. What does he call himself? Nicker or Ripper? Yeah, Ripper. Yeah, that gave himself a fucking nickname. That's even better. Yeah, because what's gonna lend something credence? Well, I'm a detective with no formal training and really no background and no special skills, no special equipment. But what I do have, I gave myself a nickname. And he's fucking rolling around with that fucking attorney. The only attorney who can't afford a jet ski and has to win one from Wayne Brady. I know I'll get stuck watching the rest of the episodes. I know that's what's going to happen. But I didn't think it was possible. And it still may not be. Alright, I haven't watched this whole fucking thing. But I officially hate somebody more. 2 people, really. I hate 2 people more than I hated anybody in the first saga of this. And I'm going to speak to a lot of you. I'm not in a position to turn away fans and, talk down to anybody or whatever. But I do have this to say. I've said it before. If you're an internet detective, if you're an armchair detective, you're a cunt who needs a hobby. That's it. You don't do anything worthwhile. Okay, you might, if you came out and just say, you know what, I'm just here to entertain people. You know what, I'm gonna pretend to investigate shit, and hopefully that makes that people enjoy it, and that's the end of that. That's fine, but to say you're some sort of fucking, go fuck yourself. You don't do shit. You know what you do? You turn people away from music and you make people kill themselves. Anyone heard from Ripper lately? Fucking Christ. Thank God for the armchair detectives. Alright, I think that's going to end what I have to talk about. I think that's going to end what I have to talk about here. So, as always, I want to thank all my listeners, everyone who downloads it and streams it. That's the same as downloading on the stat sheet. So, I would tell you what I'm drinking, but you didn't give me any recommendations, so go fuck yourself. You're gonna be left in the dark. So, got that wrapped up. Yeah, I want to thank everybody. I did hit a big milestone. Not gonna tell you the milestone because I'm kind of embarrassed. But if you're smart enough, you can figure out what that milestone is. As always, subscribe, smash that like button. Subscribe, all that nonsense. Find me everywhere. And if you guys are nice enough to me, this will come out more often. Alright. Well, I appreciate you all listening, and I will see you all next time.